The Viking Age. Just saying it brings up these images, right? Warriors, longships. But what if I told you that story, the one we all think we know, is just the tip of the iceberg? We're going to peel back the layers of the legend and find out who these people really were.
Okay, so when I say the word Viking, what pops into your head? Seriously, take a second, because I'm willing to bet I know what you're picturing.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's something like this, right? A brutal raider, maybe a horned helmet, and this unquenchable thirst for plunder. And hey, quick aside on the horned helmets, total myth. They didn't actually wear them. But still, it's a super powerful image, and you know what? It's not completely wrong.
This whole reputation really got cemented in the year 793. Picture this. A group of Norsemen just appear from across the sea. They storm the wealthy, totally undefended monastery at Lindisfarne in England and just sack the place. The shockwaves from that one attack rippled across Europe. It's basically the explosive opening scene of the Viking Age.
But here's the thing. That raid, it's just page 1. It's a single chapter in a much, much bigger story. The real story is about way more than just smashing and grabbing.
So, to really get a handle on the Viking Age, we've got to ask the most basic question of all. Why? Why did they even leave home in the first place?
Well, it wasn't just one simple reason. Think of it like a perfect storm of push and pull factors. Back home, you had growing populations crammed onto not-so-great farmland. That's the push. But then you look abroad and there's all this wealth and prestige just waiting to be grabbed. That's the pull. Throw in some intense political drama, with chieftains kicking out their rivals, forcing them to go find their own fortune. And bam, you've got all the motivation you need.
And none of this would have been possible without their secret weapon, the longship. I mean, this thing wasn't just a boat. It was an absolute technological marvel for its time. It could sail up shallow rivers for surprise attacks, but it was also tough enough to handle the open ocean. It was, quite literally, the key that unlocked the rest of the world for them.
Okay, so you've got the motivation to leave, and you've got the technology to do it. What happens next? Well, this is where we see the three real faces of the Viking. It's not just the raider we all picture. It's also the trader and the explorer.
Let's break that down. Raiding, yep, that was about grabbing wealth you could carry. Silver, slaves, mostly along the coasts of Europe. But then there's trading, which was just as big a deal. Here, the goal was luxury goods, and their network stretched all the way to the Byzantine and Abbasid empires. And finally, you have exploring. This was all about finding new lands to live, pushing them way out into the North Atlantic. So you see, three totally different hats they wore, each with its own purpose.
So you've got this incredible contrast. On one hand, the warrior's spoils are pretty straightforward. Loot, silver, slaves, taken in these quick, violent raids. But then you look at the trader's inventory, and it's a completely different world. We're talking valuable furs, amber, walrus ivory from the north, that they'd trade for silks, spices, and silver from way down south and east. It's like they had two economies running at the same time, one based on plunder, the other on commerce.
And if you want to know just how massive this trade network was, get this. Archaeologists have dug up over 100,000 silver coins. These are called dirhams from the Abbasid Caliphate. We're talking the area of modern-day Iraq. And these coins were found all the way up in Scandinavia. Think about that for a second. That's not loot from a raid. That's evidence of a mind-blowing, continent-spanning trade route.
So all this economic power, from both raiding and trading, it was bound to turn into something else, right? And it did. It turned into political power. The Vikings didn't just stay hit-and-run artists forever. Over time, they made this huge shift from raiders to rulers, from plunderers to founders.
A perfect example of this is what happened in England. It's like a three-step process. Step 1, the great heathen army shows up, and this time they're not just there for a quick raid, they're there to conquer. Step 2, they succeed, and they settle down, creating the Danelaw, this huge chunk of England under Viking law. And then step 3, the long game. Over generations, the Norse and Anglo-Saxon people and their cultures start to mix, creating something totally new.
And this wasn't just an English thing. Look at their global footprint. They founded the city of Dublin as a major trading post. In Eastern Europe, the Norse people known as the Rus were key to creating the state of Kievan Rus. They were literally given a huge piece of France, which became Normandy, the land of the Northmen. They built a society from scratch in Iceland. And, get this, they even made it to North America, setting up a settlement they called Vinland. That's 5 centuries before Columbus even set sail. Incredible.
You know, there's a quote that just sums this all up perfectly. The Vikings were not merely destructive forces. they were also agents of change, contributing to the formation of nascent states. So in other words, they weren't just breaking things, they were making things. They were building.
So what does this all mean for us today? What's their lasting legacy? I mean, 1,000 years have passed. Can we still see their impact?
Well, one of the most amazing parts of their legacy is hiding in plain sight. In fact, you're using it right now. It's in the words we speak. That's right, the English language is packed with words from Old Norse.
I mean, just take a look at some of these. We're not talking about obscure, fancy words. We're talking about basic, everyday stuff. Words like anger, bag, die, egg, knife, leg, skin, sky, take. Even the word window. Every single one of them is a loan from the Vikings. Their language is literally baked into ours.
So, who were the Vikings? Well, as we've seen, the answer is so much bigger than that old stereotype. They were raiders, yes, but they were also traders, explorers, and founders of nations. And knowing their full, complex story, it really makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you wonder how we look at all of history's great migrations, and maybe even the forces that are still pushing and pulling people across the globe today.